Hey everybody, and welcome back from spring break, however you chose to spend it. If you're like me, you didn't feel all that different than any other week. I'm sure some of you had the same experience. But welcome back. We're going to jump right back into it. This week we're actually going to cover 3 chapters. So look for your feedback from Milestone 1. Real early in the week, so you have a kind of basis to start working on Milestone 2, which we'll talk about a little bit here. Okay, so this week we're going to actually cover 3 chapters, and they're a little out of sequence, not any particular reason for that, but it's just better to look at it this way. Chapter 7 is all about brands and branding, which a lot of students find kind of interesting. And then chapter 6 is about products and just the basics of products, and we look at products as goods and services, but what goes into that, and the all-important equation of how your products, features, and benefits match to your target market's wants and needs. Okay, so and that equation is very, very important to do. So when we look at, and that's what it can be, is the basis of Milestone 2, basically. So so again, chapter 6 is all about products, looking at goods and services, and then chapter 8 I think is a really important and interesting topic, which is about new products and innovation, which is such a powerful thing in marketing, coming up with new and innovative ways, products and services that can make a firm really successful. So that's what goes into those 3 chapters this week. So it's a fair amount of ground to cover, but they're very related, so they'll feel pretty similar to you. So as we look at it, then you've got some external video things that you want to look at. There's a 10 most common branding strategies, which you want to take a look at. That's a video. And then on the product development end, there's one called The Future of Product Development is Model-Based, which I think is really important, and it's very much at the heart of what we've been talking about all along, is that we're using data to make marketing decisions from. And then there's an interesting take. This guy updates this every year. But it's 7 product development trends that we observe in the marketplace, which is kind of interesting to look at. It's an article, it's not a video, but definitely look at those things. So basically go through those things, take the quizzes and what have you, and then you're also going to have a discussion post this week, which is to have looked at the video on branding strategies, and then kind of talk about which one kind of connects with you and which one makes most sense. Again, your original post needs to be done by this Thursday by 11:59, and then you have to reply to 2 of your classmates' posts with replies as well. You guys have been doing an awesome job on the discussion posts, and I'm going to say fantastic. Keep it going. I think you're doing really well with it. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing this week. You're also going to see some information in D12 in the content about Milestone 2. Please read up on that. Again, I'll give you that feedback from Milestone 1 to give you some kind of something to work on in Milestone 2. Not only adjust your Milestone 1, but think about how you might attack Milestone 2. And I think I've got a separate video and separate information on all that, so look for those things in announcements. Okay, so that's what we're doing this week. I'm going to take a real quick look at the chapters and talk about the objectives, so you kind of get a center on what you need to really think about. So again, it's a little bit out of sequence, but we're going to be looking at chapter 7 first, because it's a little bit broader view of things, and then get some more in the nuts and bolts of it when we talk about chapter 6 and also chapter 8. So we're all about product. It's the most important part. Well, I shouldn't say the most important. It's one of the important parts of the 4 Ps. Quite honestly, most companies I can think of started with an idea of a product or a service well before they actually put together a plan for their business. So they had this idea of this thing that they think would really be successful. So and having worked in business incubators where we help people launch their product idea or their business ideas, I can tell you this is absolutely true. I mean, people really have that view of like, oh, I have this great idea for a product, and that's a very, very common thing to hear. So when we talk about brand, what you want to be able to talk about is what marketers and companies mean when they speak of a brand. A brand is a very vague and well published topic, so you can find all kinds of things about brand, but brand means a lot of things to a lot of people. But my context is to think of brand in terms of how the target market perceives you, your company, and your products. That's really what it comes down to when we talk about brand. You want to be able to explain why marketers develop brands and what a brand does for the company and the customer. Describe how marketers get customers to like their brands through positive brand associations. There's, as you people have already have noted that in some of your discussion posts. And compare different branding strategies. There's certainly a lot of them out there. And then discuss valuations of brand equity, which is an interesting thing to do. That's a fairly new topic. I mean, relatively new topic. But it's something to think about. Is brand equity is a very important thing. If just to put it in some perspective, if Apple, and this isn't likely to happen, but just a what if, is if Apple sold itself to somebody else, what is the value of that brand to that new company? It's huge. It's huge, right? So if they're smart, they're going to, first off, they're going to be paying for the value of the brand or the brand equity. And then they have to think about how they're going to leverage it best. Okay, so that's Chapter 7. Now, in Chapter 6, we're going to talk more about the nuts and bolts of product itself. So, and again, product is just such an important one of the 4 Ps. So after you're finished with this chapter, you want to be able to recognize the terminology related to products, goods, and services. Not everything's exactly the same, but yet that we can look at them all as products. We want to identify the dimensions along which goods and services differ, and they do. Services marketing is considerably different than what you do for product marketing. But having said that, or goods marketing, but having said that, there's a lot of similarities as well. And you want to discuss the complexity around the elements that make up what marketers offer and customers buy. There's a lot that goes on in that, and you're going to be doing this as well with our project. I mean, at a simplified level, but by the same token, you have to kind of think through all those different elements that go into what is represented in the product. The real important thing about product is making sure that the features and benefits that you offer match up with the wants and needs of your target market. And that's not an easy thing to do. That sounds simple, but it is not. It's a very complex thing that you need to work on and look at very closely and understand lots of elements about. So anyway, that's the kind of thing you want to keep in mind as you go work into milestone 2. You're going to be dealing with that on a bigger level. So let's take a look at Chapter 8. In Chapter 8, it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart because I've done a lot of this in my career, and it's really exciting and fun to do. It's quite frankly, it's kind of nerve-wracking, but it's fun. It's fun. It's an exciting thing to do. So, and it's talking about how we look at new products and how we make them come to be. So what you want to be able to take away from this chapter is discuss why new products and innovation are key for marketers, and they really are. You're in constant mode of reinventing yourself. You have to be. It's just the nature of the beast. So you have to keep working on it, okay, and making changes that are relevant to your customer base. You want to describe how marketers and customers create new products. There's lots of ways that that's done. There's some really interesting stories of how that's done, but nonetheless, whatever the process is, it's something that's done in continuum. It's not something that's done, okay, we're going to do that this week and then forget about it for another year. It's not like that. You're working on developing new products all along. And then you want to explain the product life cycle. That's a really important element of thinking about how products, how you market products throughout their lives. And the interesting challenge is to introduce a new product, which is really what we're doing in our group project. Our class project. And then you're going to describe the role of new products in the bigger marketing strategy picture. This is kind of an interesting thing, is this has changed a lot over the years, but most recently, a lot of companies, particularly technology companies, have a strategy or a strategic objective that says they want some percentage of their revenue. In the case of Microsoft, if I remember right, it's 80% of their revenue has to come out from products that came out within the last 12 months, which is amazing. But but you can kind of see how that's how it works in technology, and it works in all aspects of business. Again, speed to market is such an important thing. And then you want to be able to discuss the trends that affect the new types of products and that can succeed. So those are things that we're going to be looking at all along. So we are looking at product this week, one of the major 4 Ps. And so take your time going through it. It's really kind of an interesting thing to do. Please go through this material before you attempt milestone 2, because you're going to need to be able to reference it and put it in perspective. Okay, so if you have any questions with this, please let me know. Best of luck with it, and I'm happy to discuss any of these things with you one-on-one. If you want to send me an email, give me 3 times, and I'm sure one of them will work, and we'll talk about it. Okay? Good luck.